This roof's getting installed with our premium roofing system. Backed by our 50-year warranty. And there's a 0% financing, no payment for 6 months options that this customer utilized. If you're looking for a new roof and you need an affordable option, call Absolute Restoration.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Good afternoon and happy Monday. Yes, you've completed day one of the work weekend. From here on out, it's a better stretch, right? Well, maybe not in the weather world. We'll get to that in just one moment. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm meteorologist Gabe, and we are tracking a little bit more of a soggier week as we continue, but that's only for a few select locations. Limited rain chances continue today, tomorrow, into Wednesday, with better chances pushing in by Friday. We're also tracking that warm trend that is ahead. So if today was a little bit too cold to start, well, things do get better, and we have near record-setting heat pushing into the area as we push into the rest of our work week. So today, overall, pretty calm. Expect those conditions to continue in the first 12. 62 degrees by 6, 57 by 9, and we are continuing to fall, but not that much, only down into the low to mid 50s by the time we get to our Tuesday morning. Cloud cover, a big story moving forward. That's kind of limiting how much we do cool off, and that cloud cover is going to be a little bit, depends on where you're at. That's really the story. 61 degrees there in Amory, Monroe County, having a little bit of those stratus clouds showing up, but it's more of those alto stratus clouds, so not really showing up across the region. It's just going to be at a few select spots. That doesn't really limit how much heating we do receive, and that's why temperatures were able to ramp up as the day went on. Taking a look there in Cleveland, again, a little bit of a look there at those alto stratus clouds, 75 degrees. Winds a little bit more breezy out there in Cleveland, 12 miles an hour out of the east. But a great shot there, a busy city this evening, and I know folks are out there taking in this forecast because, yes, it is a little bit cloudy in some spots, but it is a great forecast no matter where you're at. Winona, 72 degrees, and you are clear in Montgomery County. It's going to be a good one for sure because that dry air is still sticking around, but that is going to start to shift into that extended forecast as we work some of that moisture back into the region. So I said limited rain chances for today. Where exactly has that happened? Primarily out here towards Memphis and DeSoto County. You're getting a little bit of those spotty showers pushing into the region. If we zoom in right there, we'll get a better look out of our Memphis radar site. And as you can see, pushing there towards Marshall County, right along Highway 4 and I-22, that intersection, really riding Highway 7 in particular. Let's do a loop on this over the past hour, and you can see how this band has kind of worked its way through Holly Springs, but not really provided it with significant moisture. As we track this out, unfortunately, I'll have to take a step off screen to track this real quick, but we are going to get this pushing about, I would say, 10 miles an hour or so, having to do a band on this, and let's work its way through Holly Springs and then carry it out there 10 miles an hour or so. And you get a few spots listed on your screen right there. The Outway community, 508. We're talking Higdon, 514, Hudsonville, 521, Bethlehem, 545, Potts Camp closer to about 547. Very light showers, not going to be overly impactful. And you do see that this is beginning to dissipate. Now, this is all attached to a warm front that's starting to linger over our area, giving us those isolated showers, but not exactly too much. As we look at some of those rainfall totals over the past 12 hours and highlight in a few of those totals, there we go. You can see we're talking 1/10 of an inch here, maybe an inch in some spots. If it were heavy enough, an inch is probably an over prediction on that. But out west, we definitely did get some decent outputs with nearly an inch, a little bit over that in some spots towards Forest City, Marianna, and West Helena. So that's where we've tracked the most moisture. But here in our area, it's primarily been northwest. And that big driver in the forecast is, of course, that warm front, that warm sector, giving us that little bit of some isolated shower development. It's really going to be those isolated cells, but not going to be anything significant in regards to those cells. This is just going to be a little bit of those showers and thunderstorms that do develop, but remain sub-severe by a long shot. 5 o'clock, as you can see, that band still working its way through all the way from Nebraska. That low kind of wrapping up a little bit of that moisture, and we are getting a little bit of increased shower coverage right there towards Nebraska and South Dakota. As we work our way down that line, those chances become thinner and thinner. So while we do expect a little bit of those strong storms to remain out there towards Missouri, here in North Mississippi, it's honestly a very low chance to get any rainfall, nevertheless a very low chance to get any severe weather. So remaining on that same pattern, and we're going to stay with those mostly dry conditions overnight. Let's track that out on Futurecast, and as you can see right here, that high pressure also aiding in that moisture replenishing in our area. So we have this lifting mechanism in the warm front, the moisture returning due to that atmospheric wind shift, and that's going to allow for some more showers to form possibly overnight, but really into our Tuesday as we get into our Tuesday afternoon forecast in particular. So let's zoom it back into the Twin States and get a better view right here. And you do see some of those greens popping up in northwest Mississippi once again. So we're not ruling out the possibility of a few showers, but those really remaining on the lower end of the spectrum when we talk about intensity. So staying mostly light as it works its way through our region and giving us just a good start to the day. I know if you're like me and your gardens are steadily dying, well, rainfall kind of helping those stay alive, maybe resuscitating it just for a couple more days as we work more into that winter season. Next 24, 6 a.m., 54 degrees, 65 by 9, 78 by noon, and we are climbing into the low 80s by the afternoon. You may notice 10% here, 10% there, really going to increase in coverage for the latter half of our Tuesday. We'll be talking about that here coming up in the next 60 seconds from the Room to Room Weather Center, but we're also going to be discussing the extended rain chances. When that best threat pushes in, we'll have the latest details coming up in the next 60 on Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
I know there's some folks that have probably heard me talking about cloudy skies and been like, Gabe, what are you talking about? Well, this is the reason why. Taking a look out there in Tupelo, 66 degrees. We are getting a little bit increased cloud cover working through Lee County compared to other areas that we have looked at on the North Mississippi Storm Chasers this evening. But that cloud cover not preventing any of that sunshine reaching the ground, warming us up nicely towards the afternoon. And we're sitting at 66 degrees at the 5 o'clock hour here in Tupelo. I know I said coming up at 5 o'clock. My times were off. It's definitely a Monday. The Monday blues definitely kicking in, but it is 5 o'clock. We are just getting our evening started. West Point, great shot there of that stratus cloud blanketing the sky, but not everywhere is those little hues of light that are out there in the distance working its way in, warming up the atmosphere there as well. 66 degrees and still that dew point, 39 degrees. A very dry forecast still remaining in North Mississippi, so enjoy it. Get out there. Take some plans out this evening to just soak up all of this great air that we do have. Greenville, again, patchy cloud cover working its way through the region, but a little bit more breezy out there in the Delta, about 12 miles an hour coming out of the east. That is going to, of course, keep things dry for the most part, but we have been talking about the Mississippi Live Weather Radar tracking a few of these showers out there towards northwest Mississippi. Again, that's continuing to work its way through Holly Springs, and as we track that band, it's really about a 10 mile an hour storm, or 10 mile an hour line of showers, should I say. And as we look at the latest times, we're talking Atway 524, Hudsonville 534, Potts Camp closer to 545, Bethlehem 554, and we are talking a Lamar 607 if it were even to hold together, because if we look at the latest trends on this, has not been anything of significance, and the more significant stuff actually happened about 30 minutes ago. That even dissipating out as it works its way through Holly Springs and the rest of Marshall County, remaining a much drier forecast, and for the rest of us here in North Mississippi, it's been a pretty dry day overall. Looking at rainfall rates, we're going to bring it back in here to Marshall County to get a better look at this. So let's bring it back in here to Holly Springs, and we're going to have to circulate it back over the last hour. You can definitely see how those rates have really subsided, and we're getting, how much is that? Probably, I would dare say a few hundredths rather than a tenth of an inch. Yeah, there we go, 0.08 inches an hour. Same thing out there towards Malone. We're getting at most 0.05 of an hour. So No, not 500 of an hour, 500ths. So not anything too significant. So we're going to remain on the drier side once again. And the best way to tell that as well, if you look at some of our storm tops, these are not exactly elevated storms, meaning that they're not building, so they're not larger drops, and that's why we're not getting high rainfall rates. So Abbeville there on the northern side of Lafayette County and over there towards Malone, like we were talking about a moment ago, we're only talking 10,000 feet at most. These are not tall showers. They're not going to produce large outputs of rainfall. It's just going to be a nice little afternoon shower. Honestly, shaping up for a pretty good nap time if you did have a long day at school. My wife, I'm talking to you in particular, but we don't live near these showers, so I guess it depends on where you're at whenever we're talking about this forecast. Your dog walking forecast, yes, we still got to take the pups out this evening, and temperature-wise, not going to be nearly as bad as this morning. 59 degrees by 7, 57 by 9, and 55 by 11 o'clock. Still with plenty of dry air in the area. Mostly clear skies is what we'll see overnight. That little bit of patchy cloud cover working its way through the region once again. But we've been talking about these breezy conditions out there close to the delta, still out of the east, and that's allowing for some of that moisture to work its way back into the region. Hence why you see that cloud cover building in the forecast by 7 o'clock on your Monday evening. As we stick with that forecast, any late Monday night plans that we may have, again, looking good to go with dry conditions still in place. But watch how that shifts into those overnight hours. We're talking early AM hours on our Tuesday. A little bit of that moisture builds back into the region. What were we tracking at the top of the show? Well, it was a warm front that kicked into the region, has now fully built into the area, and we are going to be getting those southerly winds working back into the region. Of course, with that moisture, returning with some of that lifting mechanism. That's where we get some of these showers to form close to Clarksdale and Greenville, working its way up north towards Jonesboro, Arkansas, and you do see a little bit more significant showers and storms out there towards Indiana, Illinois, and Missouri. This is where that severe weather threat remains in place, but down here in Mississippi, far away from it, and our severe weather parameters are practically nothing. So that's a very good forecast for any plans overnight that we may have, or just sleeping plans, because if you want to sleep peacefully, not have to worry about storms, definitely a good thing whenever we're talking about this type of forecast. Working our way into our Tuesday morning, of course, low temperatures not going to be as bad as what we had today. 60 degrees in South Haven with that moisture in place. Out east, where it's a little bit more of a dry forecast, we're talking 54 in Tupelo, Amory, Columbus, and 53 down around Macon. Wouldn't be surprised for a few upper 40s out there towards northwest Alabama, but that's the extent of that cold air. The rest of us remaining pretty mild for the start of a November day here for our Tuesday. 57 towards drop-off, 74 by lunch, and 80 by that last spell. Still probably going to need the long sleeves at the bus stop, but towards the afternoon, 80 degrees. That's near record-setting heat for this time of year, and so honestly, short sleeves will be allowed by the time we get towards those afternoon plans. Any practices that still are in place, teams that are preparing for the playoffs, hey coaches, this is a good day to get out there and enjoy it. Tuesday, as you can see, very little moisture in place, but those light showers trying to work their way along Highway 6 and up north along the Tennessee state line. That's towards your morning commute, still working their way through that same general region with some heavier outputs down there around Memphis, or should I say up there around Memphis. That's going to continue to work their way through Tennessee as we get into those lunch plans. So if you live north of 6, I would say have an umbrella in the back seat just in case. South of there, we're looking good to go with some drier conditions. As we continue with that forecast, by the afternoon, still staying with those drier conditions. Southerly winds really ramping up, though. That's going to make for some breezy conditions as the day goes on. Hair up or hair down, definitely a hair up kind of day. As we get into our mid-afternoon time frame on our Tuesday, this projection not exactly as high as what other projections have been whenever it comes to our rain chances by the afternoon, but I wouldn't be surprised if a few 10% chances are lingering in that forecast due to this southerly building extent of this low pressure center. Again, we're wrapping up some of that moisture into that warm front as it has that counterclockwise flow. So that's where the main batch of showers and storms will be. But down here in in the southern part of this system, here in North Mississippi, that's where we could be dealing with just a few isolated chances. Not anything too high, but as this builds a little bit further towards the south, definitely could see a few pop-up showers in our neck of the woods. High temperatures, though, we are in the warm sector of this system. Emphasis on warm because look at high temperatures. We're talking 69 degrees Holly Springs, 71 in Tupelo, 73 in Houston, 73 in Eupora, and 78 towards Belzona. I do want to say high temperatures, I think, are being very underdone on this model run. I would expect more of this heat down here around Arkansas and southern Arkansas and Louisiana, building into North Mississippi, and we could see a few low 80s in the forecast out there towards Greenville and Belzona. I think Tupelo and the northeast side of our viewing area definitely underdoing it as well. I would have you guys more in the 70s than the upper 60s. As we work futurecasts ahead into our Tuesday night, again staying with those dry conditions, but we do have that cold front that's pushing more into the region. This giving us a better shot at a few of those showers working their way along the Tennessee state line overnight. That's really where we have that 10% chance in place, and that best chance of showers and potentially a rumble of thunder will be overnight, working its way across I-22, close to the Union County area, New Albany, and then out there towards central Alabama. As you can see, what's left of it right there towards Gadsden and Fort Payne, Alabama. So closer to my parents to give you perspective, not here in North Mississippi. That front fully clearing the area. This is a what we call a shortwave system. So our main jet is still way up here towards Canada. That's going to continue to work in a few systems, but the shortwave developing and giving us a little bit of that energy and that lifting mechanism to produce a few showers for sure as we work into our Tuesday night and into our Wednesday as well. With that front lingering over the top of us and becoming a bit stationary, we could see a few more isolated chances getting into our Wednesday night. So keep that rain gear handy for any of those midweek services, but I would say that we remain sub-severe once again as a large part of that energy still out here towards the East Texas, Northeast Texas, and Eastern Oklahoma area, with bring some much needed rainfall out there towards New Mexico and Arizona, that they are still in a very significant drought. So I'm sure they will take as much rainfall as they can get. Those chances do move into the region closer to Friday or late Thursday night as we work into the latter part of our work week. But that's going to be a part of this system out here towards Minneapolis, building out there towards Nebraska and Denver. That works its way into North Mississippi, giving us our next best threat of some rainfall and even a few thunderstorms as we get into the end of our week. High temperatures for Wednesday. This is more what's expected. As you can see right here, 79 degrees there in Senatobia, 78 in Boonville, 80 New Albany, 82 in Bruce, and 82 around Starkville and Columbus. As you can see, our record, 82 degrees, set nearly, 73 years ago on this date. So wouldn't be surprised if that record was broken in a few spots, because we're talking 81 in Tupelo. Well, the record's 82. If this were to go up even 1 degree, we're tying that record. 2 degrees, we're setting a new one. So heat, yeah, that's going to be the name of the game for our November, let's see, that would be November, gotta look at the date, 19th forecast. Just a couple days away. So if you're waiting on some cooler weather, unfortunately November not exactly providing that per usual. But as we look at rain chances over the next several days, this is also a big driver in our forecast with limited chances into Wednesday, 20% there by Thursday. Could argue that that could be up just a bit. 40% there by Friday. That remains our main weather maker, and those chances falling back as we enter towards the latter part of our weekend. And as we get into next week, those chances increase once again. Next 7 days, we're talking 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rainfall across North Mississippi. So rain gear, have it around. But if you do have a dry forecast, enjoy it, get outside, because there will be days that look a little bit more dreary than where we sit right now. Tuesday, 79 degrees. Again, I would up those temperatures that we're forecasting for, up those to around upper 70s, low 80s across the region. Wednesday, 81 degrees. Thursday, 79, and those steadily fall back as that frontal system works its way into the region, dropping to 70 there by Saturday once that rain fully clears, and 66 there by Sunday. So feeling a little bit more like what we'd expect this fall season, late fall season, but that's a big driver is that moisture that's pushing back into the region. And towards next week, more rainfall expected, but we're looking beyond that forecast coming up tonight at 6 and what to expect with North Mississippi's patterns moving forward, whether it's the next 14 days, the next month, even the next 3 months. We're tracking that out coming up tonight at 6. But before we get there, I do want to say that we did get a special visit from meteorologist Maggie McCauley. She went out to, let's see if it'll pull up. Okay, I'm going to have to head behind the scenes, but she went out there towards Biggersville Elementary School, and we have a look from her at what she got to see with some kids out there. So bear with me. I'm going to get it up behind the scenes right here. All right, so as you can see, she got to go to Biggersville Pre-K and Elementary. Kids having such a good time with her, learning about the live news and also Mississippi live weather, telling her a little bit about that. She was able to make some thunderstorms with the kids, as you can see right here. So that was pretty fun, getting to show off, you know, the thunder kind of clapping, you stomp your feet. So getting the audible side of the thunderstorm. Lots of kids, of course, having questions, as you can see right here. So they were very fun, very involved, and excited to learn a little bit more about what was happening here in North Mississippi. And of course, she was excited to get out there and do it. That's a pretty large crowd. So Maggie had quite the showing out there in Biggersville, but a big shout out to Biggersville for having us out there to be a part of your day and teach you a little bit more about weather. So we're trying to work as many people into the schedule as we can as we work into that late fall, early winter season. I know school probably has about a month more before we get into that winter break time frame. So if you want to visit, go ahead and reach out to us and work out the best way to get you in the schedule for sure. I do want to say, I know you're looking at my tie and thinking, well, Gabe, it's pretty obvious what gender the baby is. We got to find out tonight at 6. Might be right, might be wrong. We'll take a look at that in more detail coming up tonight at 6. But a big thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Of course, if you haven't already, go ahead and download that free app. It has our streaming service at the top of the page, so you'll never miss a broadcast. We'll update you with a notification telling you when we are going live. But that schedule is at 5, 6, and 10 on your weekday evenings, and weekday mornings always available at 6:30, 7, and 7:30 with the latest on what to expect here in North Mississippi. And of course, what we're tracking tonight at 6. It's an exciting time. Of course, I'm completely biased, but it's exciting because we're learning what the gender of baby Maynor is. So go ahead and submit your guesses in the comments, or go to our pages and click boy or girl. Get those in last second. We're not going to have any cheaters after we announce it. No, that final tally will be in tonight at 6, and excited to share that with you guys and our North Mississippi family coming up tonight at 6. We'll see you there, but until then, have a great evening.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org.
I'm your retirement fear, but don't be scared. You're still in pre-tirement.
Does that mean I have more time to plan?
Precisely. This is pretirement.org.
This isn't scary. I'm doing it.